railway station.而且你得拍点全景。这些手机给我。
We had already visited Dazhou before departing for Chongqing. Its ancient rock carvings, along with the vast expanse of the Three Gorges, are perhaps the most extraordinary treasures of this region. I will edit and share the footage of those two delicate and magnificent places later. This video, however, is devoted solely to the city of Chongqing itself, not the surrounding counties, but the urban body of the city alone. Before exploring its streets and skylines, it's worth remembering that Chongqing was once a modest city under the administration of Sichuan province. In 1997, it became a municipality directly under the central government in Beijing, a turning point that reshaped its destiny. Yet Chongqing and Sichuan remain deeply intertwined. They share the same cultural roots, the same dialectal rhythm. Historically, the lands of Shu, Sichuan, and Ba, Chongqing have often been spoken of together. Two names, one cultural heartbeat. Chengdu and Chongqing, like two brothers, sometimes independent yet forever connected, each shaping and reflecting the other. After settling our luggage at the hotel, we headed straight out to the streets to grab something to eat. If you are looking for more detailed food and accommodation recommendations, you can check out my Chongqing itinerary guide on Substack. I have linked it in the description below. In this video, though, I want to focus more on the scenery and the atmosphere. 广式 Milk Desert House, the ginger milk tea, mango pomelo sago, and the double skim milk are all designed for a real stop when you are tired from walking. Of the three, the mango pomelo sago is the standout. It's a thick, luscious version. The ginger milk tea and the double skim milk are fairly mediocre, and not worth the price. That said, the portions are small. Still, it's worth a try to get a feel for the flavors. At the Shancheng Lamp restaurant, we ordered just two signature dishes, rice noodles and a steamed lamb. They also have regular homestyle dishes, making it a proper restaurant for group dining. The restaurant has two floors. The ground floor serves rice noodles and tends to get crowded with curries. You can head straight upstairs, where rice noodles are also available. With our stomachs full, we slowly made our way toward the Sancheng Walkway. Sancheng Kuaida literally means mountain city, a name that could not be more fitting. Chongqing, along with its surrounding counties, is built along the steep hillsides that rise on both sides of the Yangtze River. The city seems to cling to the mountains layered with endless slopes and staircases. Perhaps that is why motorcycles are far more common here than electric bicycles. The hills demand stronger engines to carry people up and down the city's dramatic terrain.
19水山的这个。
原来做麻花的。
Li Rongtao is a local Chongqing milk tea brand serving cold drinks only. Their signature original leaf red glutinous rice and the original leaf rice wine white glutinous rice are both worth ordering. I purchased twice. The rose peach and strawberry peach options are more ordinary and less distinctive, though still clean and smooth without any harsh aftertaste. For milk tea in Chongqing, Li Rongtao is a go-to in Chengdu. It's Jincheng Tea House. More on that in my upcoming Chengdu travel guide. Among the street snacks, we tasted the hot and sour noodles, though they didn't quite live up to our expectations. The Napoleon pastry at Jiefang Bei Hyatt Regency is a mild, inoffensive pastry without the artificial industrial taste. Ordinary at best, I'm personally not a fan of the flaky, crumbly baked goods category in general. Let's say this one was the best Napoleon pastry in Chongqing. Xinma Wonton serves both wontons and dandan noodles. We tried both and they were great. They were reasonably priced. A wonderful little family run shop. With our stomachs full again, we walked through the Huguang Guild Hall. We are at Dongshuimen Yangcang River Bridge. Below us is the Huguang Guild Hall. It served as a hub for immigrants from Hunan, Hubei, and Guangdong after the Sichuan massacre. In the distance is the Yangcang River Cableway. walked under the Dongshuimen Bridge to the Raffles City.哦，它在上面是吧？
对呀。
哦。
上面还有树。往前走了啊！抬头，好好的。
拍都照了。Entered the Raffles City, reached to the one floor. You can get the area view of the Yangcang River and the Jialing River. It's a Caotianmen Square where the Jialing River merges into the Yangcang River. Later we'll go down toward that square.
Go idea. 然后去洪崖洞啊，这是拍够了吗？这拍够了吗？嗯。
Behind me is Hongyadong, the most famous thing spot in Chongqing, and the best time to appreciate is during the evening when the golden light turning on.
Okay.
We originally planned to go to Guangtou Stir Fry after Hongyadong, but they stopped stating customers at 8:30 p.m. We ended up at Zhangji, which closed at 10:13 p.m. Though they also stopped accepting new customers 30 minutes before closing. Most authentic local restaurants in Chongqing formally close at 9 o'clock p.m. and stop accepting customers at 8:30 p.m. Keep dining hours in mind when planning your day. The super mirror shows Zhangji restaurant tucked at the bottom of a sloped alleyway with two entrance doorways facing each other diagonally. It has a wide variety of homestyle dishes, though everything extremely spicy.
我这儿去吗？啥意思呀？
Niujiaotou is perhaps one of the best areas to stay, especially for those drawn to the lingering architecture of the Republican era. As we stepped out of the hotel, we began walking along Zhongshan Fourth Road, widely regarded as the most beautiful street in Chongqing. Our first stop was Yiyuan Garden. Its exterior appears modest, almost restrained, yet inside it reveals a labyrinth of doors, spaces that feel designed for retreat. Underground, an old air raid shelter rests in silence, a quiet echo of another time.
小心这块有个小小的台阶。哇，好不一样哦！你看那块那窗口可以打炮打枪了。你看那墙体多厚，这么厚。我这墙体好厚啊！我去。这挺亮的。
Along Zhongshan Fourth Road, many of the buildings feature exhibitions about the Chongqing negotiations during the Republican era, including materials related to Mao Zedong and Jiang Jieshi.
Ah, 好爽啊！干吗？先给我拍，往那单位上问你们俩的。那你拍我也给倒去了呗？那不行。
Getting used to the small apartment, not surpass 50 square meters. And visiting these mansions, we feel the house could be such big and providing such a spacious space.
我操！
站直，身体站直啊！
Now, besides Zhenjiayan Riverwalk, there is another hidden gem right in the Lidzba area, the Eling Cliffside Boardwalk. It hugs the rock face of the mountain right along the Jialing River. And this kind of cliffside riverwalk is so Chongqing. It's the kind of thing that you can't find anywhere else.
南风在你那儿吗？
啥就30年，最多2年。哇塞，你看这么多哦！
这好多灯光哦。We are at 嘉陵江 Walkway。
下不去啊！
哎呦，没有考英语，没有弄台词了。你在说西啊？
哇，嘎鸡血了！
没有穿天波孔哦。好，
这我感觉转天波也就爬了那一点，不往下看。
但是你往下看，转天波比这
我都不知道我是不是爬了。哎，你快过来，别拍啊！
下着非得。
Coming out of the Zhenjiayan Walkway brings you straight back down to Zhongshan Forest Road, where you stroll past Zhougongguan, a residence from the Republican era. Walking through the interiors air frozen in the 1940s, then stepping outside to face a wall of gleaming modern skyscrapers. It's such a strange collision of two completely different worlds. From Zhougongguan, we walk past the Chongqing Municipal Government Building. Down the steps, we arrived at the People's Great
你
Hall.
这几步道走的好高雅呀！
慢点，慢点。
在地上。
喂，喂。
And by this point, we were starving. We found a place nearby serving Sichuan-style braised chicken, and it did not disappoint. The ingredients were generous and the flavors were bold. But I'm not really a spicy food person. Eddie was absolutely in his element. That said, it got so intense that halfway through the meal, we had to run out to grab a bottle of drinks. Today we walk all the way from the Niujiao subway station, getting through the Zhongshan Weisi Road, reached to the Chongqing Great Hall of the People. See this magnificent Chinese traditional architecture, which built in the 1950s. Later we are heading to the Lizhi Bar. To beat the tourist crowds, instead of going to the Lizhi Bar observation deck, we took a cab to Datianwan Primary School to catch a view of the famous train through the building from a distance.
There are many people.
You know, kids love it. Older folks love it, young people love photographing it, but honestly, Eddie and I were just kind of unmoved, like it's fun, but we couldn't quite understand what all the hype was about. We had heard great things about the food scene in Guanyinqiao, so we made the trip specifically for a place called Yanghou Shaomai. But when we got there, closed. Then we tried a dove party restaurant nearby, and that was worse. The meat tasted awful, almost sour. Both Eddie and my brother agreed that it was generally inedible. Guanyinqiao just wasn't food-wise for us. We ended up grabbing some pastries and a couple of yogurt and milk again, and call it our night. Midway through the trip, I turned back to trying to celebrate Chinese New Year and bring my parents along for the Chunqi leg of the trip. It was just after New Year, and the city was bustling, streets packed, everywhere you looked full of life and movement. I made a terrible decision to stay near the railway station. After that unpleasant experience, I will avoid booking hotels around the stations whenever possible. Nowadays, online road-hailing services are fast and convenient in most major cities in China. On day 3, we visited Dazidong and the Baigongguan, where the stories that took place were later read into the novel Red Crack. Perhaps it will take hundreds of years before the full truth of what happened during past Republic era is truly understood. The most recent history is often the most ambiguous, both close and strangely distant. overwhelmed by the crowds and the heavy air, we briefly walked through the small villa, then decided not to enter the Dazidong. We went down here toward the Baolun Temple in Cijikou historic town. Legend has it that when the Jianwen Emperor Zhu Yongwen was forced from the throne by his uncle Zhu Li, he fled south in exile and eventually passed through Cijikou. It's said that he once sought refuge here, living in quiet obscurity within the temple walls. Because of this story, the temple was once known as Nongyin Temple, the temple of the hidden dragon. A great plaque bearing the words Nongyin Chan Monastery once hung above the main gate, though it has long since been destroyed. And as memory folded itself around legend, Cijikou itself was once called Nongyin Town. Wars at the end of the Ming Dynasty, followed centuries later by the devastations of Japanese invasion, reduced thousands of Buddhist halls to ruin. Of the original complex, only the Mahavira Hall remains, a solitary Ming Dynasty structure, still standing against time. Today, Baolun Temple is said to be especially efficacious. Incense smoke rises steadily, faces lingers in the air. People from Chongqing come here to pray for success in their careers, progress in their studies, and peace for their families. During this visit, I learned about the circulation of blessed ritual objects and about the rich strings tied for protection and luck. Next time, I will pay more attention on temple's official ritual goods hall.
我听过空境的回忆，雨水浇过你，我抓住散落的余温，卷曲的浮云让我。
陈建皮好好吃啊！
这家是最好吃的。